It's early morning on the quayside where the Royal Yacht is now one of Britain's top tourist attractions. And the men who once worked on her are heading aboard. This being Edinburgh, they're welcomed by the sound of bagpipes. And this being a former Royal Navy ship, there's a morning meeting and a hymn to sing.
And give forward confusion peace.
But there's also work to be done. Painting, polishing, cleaning, all to keep Britannia shipshape.
It's a privilege to do this, to keep the old girl up and running, basically.
What job in this country would people go back to work after 40 years to put a coat of paint on?
And do it for nothing, volunteers.
For the Royal Yachtsmen here this week, Britannia wasn't just another ship to serve on. Being aboard made them part of a very special club, and it's a club they'll never leave. There's an intense pride in being a Royal Yachtsman and a real enthusiasm for being back aboard. For many of these men, the years they served on Britannia are ones they'll never forget. Robbie Robson says he stayed away for a long time, but finally came back.
I went down to the mess deck where I lived for nearly 10 years, and I pulled myself up into my bunk and I laid there, and it was that emotional, and I actually cried.
Norrie Norrell rose from able seaman to coxswain in his 34 years aboard and is at the reunion with Dixie Dean, who spent 25 years on Britannia.
Very, very privileged and a great honour to have served Her Majesty and the Royal Navy.
Well, that is the main thing, looking after the royal family. I mean, absolutely brilliant. And they are appreciative as well. They do appreciate everything, or they appreciate everything that we did for them.
But the Queen calls him Norrie and she calls me Dixie. So, I mean, that's how it is.
It's easy to see why they're so attached to the ship. Britannia was the centre of attention wherever she went and took her sailors to every corner of the globe.
The year after I had joined her, we set sail in the January and we did a total circumnavigation of the globe, taking in the bicentenary celebrations in Australia. But, you know, in order to get there, we went across the Atlantic, through the Caribbean, down through the Panama Canal, out into the Pacific, through the Galapagos Islands, Los Angeles, Hawaii, the Pacific chain of islands, all the way down to Australia. We really did see the world.
Bring off, finish with main engines. Thank you very much.
Anthony Morrow was the last man to command Britannia before she left the Navy and understands why coming back aboard is so important.
Britannia was the yachties. The heart and soul of Britannia was the yachties, and their service to the Queen, members of the royal family, was a total part of their lives.
The yachtsmen also share their enthusiasm with visitors from all over the world who come aboard. The Rabbit family are from the United States.
The whole crew, the whole bunch of them, no matter which floor we're on, they tell you, I say, what did you do on the ship? And they tell me, just with great pride.
And there's a real feeling of warmth and happiness that they bring back. I think it's both the ship and the people of the ship.
The working day ends in traditional fashion, with the dispensing of a rum ration and a toast.
Gentlemen, I give you the Queen and absent friends.
Queen, absent friends. God bless her.
Tomorrow, rolling back the years as the yachtsmen step back below deck. Richard Jones, ITV News, Edinburgh. The week the Royal Yachtsmen visit is a highlight of the year in Edinburgh, where the ship is now moored, and there's a musical tribute to them on the quayside. They're here to work, but also to enjoy themselves, sharing memories and telling tales. Back in the mess where they once lived are Chris Frith and Dave MacDonald.
Do you feel at home?
Very much so.
Definitely.
Yes. I'm 30 years old again. We've got the opportunity of actually turning back time and feeling young and great, and all the memories come flooding back.
Tony Noble was a keen sportsman during his years on Britannia and relishes the chance to catch up with old friends.
Some of the people that you remember, you know, your conversation
does pick up from where you left off, and it's just brilliant. And the rapport's still there. The banter is still there.
We hadn't seen each other since 1972.
It was just like yesterday.
And it was just like yesterday. Back in the same mode of speaking and the same laughing and joking.
That's right.
Some yachtsmen get to go back to where they once worked. Chefs Les Brooks and Jeff Stoddard served together in the 1970s, and they're cooking dishes their shipmates love.
Traditional service food. Like today they've got cheesy hammy eggy, baby's heads, which is steak and kidney puddings.
Kidney Tobago, commonly called something on the raft, which we can't say on air. It's comfort food, it's the cottage pies, the curries.
It's what they want, that's why they look forward, I think, coming for that year, because they know they're going to get something they don't get at all.
Ernie Bedford is relaxing in the wardroom, something he was never able to do in his many years as a steward aboard. But even now, there's a huge temptation to get to work.
You see something, that's not right, that shouldn't be there. That's moved. Oh, that's different. Oh, that dining table, it's wrong. Damn candelabra should be that way. You feel as if you want to get out and put things right.
The royal apartments aboard Britannia were certainly grand, but life below decks wasn't always as comfortable.
We slept in hammocks,
yeah,
and we was very close together, so when we slept together we're closer than we're sitting now, really.
Ship's photographer Mike Gilbert didn't even have a hammock.
I slept in a camp bed under a mess deck table in the seaman's mess for 3 years.
And of course there are stories, many of them, some quite extraordinary.
We decided to make a world record. While we were circumnavigating the world, we wasn't going to buy a bar of soap until we reached Portsmouth.
And the trip was 7 months old, the world trip, Australia, New Zealand, and we didn't buy a bar of soap for.
We just collected all the scrap soap.
That's our fame to fame.
So nobody go near him for 7 months.
And the stories continue long into the night. Tomorrow, the day all Royal Yachtsmen remember with regret, the day Britannia left the Navy. Richard Jones, ITV News, Edinburgh. It was grey and cold, fitting weather for an event many Royal Yachtsmen describe as being close to a bereavement. It's said to be the only time the Queen has ever shed a tear in public. Many sailors did the same. Today, the clocks on Britannia still stand at 1 minute past 3, the moment the Queen left the ship for the last time. 20 years on, it's a day all Royal Yachtsmen, regardless of how long they spent on board, remember and above all, regret. 5 of the sailors who were aboard that day are reflecting on the end of an era.
It was quite upsetting, because although you knew it was going to happen, and you all, prepared for it, when it actually came, I'd never been on a ship that actually decommissioned before in that manner, with that ceremony going on.
A lot of the guys couldn't even be retrained, could they, to go back into the Royal Navy, so they were leaving the Royal Navy as well as the Royal Yacht, so that was a very sad part of it. And there were a lot of guys that, we'd been everywhere together, we'd watched each other's backs around the world, and yeah, when you lose that, it's I think it is a devastating loss.
Ring off, finish with main engines. Thank you very much.
That day was, of course, a remarkable day for me, for everybody who had served, who were serving and had served, and of course it brought also the largest number of members of the royal family together to say farewell to Britannia.
The Royal Yacht was decommissioned because she was expensive to run, but should she have been allowed to sail on, or should she have been replaced? The answer from the yachtsman is clear.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely yes.
Yes.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean to say, we were proud to show the flag for Great Britain.
And if money was no object, and this Royal Yacht could go back to sea once more, would they sign up?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. As an old age pensioner, yeah, certainly.
All Royal Yachtsmen know how lucky they were to have served on this special ship, and how lucky they are still to be able to visit.
I didn't think that I would ever stay more than 2 years, but it gets into your blood and you become part of it. You become part of something uniquely special to this country.
Being able to come back on board now is a blessing because, you know, historically Royal Yachts were scuppered, so they were actually taken out to sea and sunk.
They're members of an exclusive club that's only going to shrink in size as Royal Yachtsmen grow old.
The Queen and absent friends.
Queen and absent friends. But for now, there are plenty of them, happy to meet up and care for the ship that played such a significant part in their lives. Richard Jones, ITV News, Edinburgh.